Welcome back to Tallboy Radio. Now, last week we went down a darker route than we intended, but we've got a festive episode for you today. As you can tell by the music that's playing here in the background, if that doesn't put a little bit of warm in your heart and hopefully a little bit of cold beer in your glass, then goodness knows what will. So let's introduce the other host who's with us today. Gaz, say hello, say Merry Christmas, and let's find out what it is that you're drinking.
Merry Christmas, Adam. Merry Christmas, the world. I am drinking this week a triple hazy from the company that we generally talk about quite a lot, Brewdog, and that is, was that about 8%, 9%? And again, similar to last week, I thought I'm going all retro out of a genuine CBR merchandise glass. Looking forward to this and looking forward to reminiscing on 2022. All good.
And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're looking back on 2022, playing some of our favourite clips, talking about some of our favourite moments that may or may not have made the cut, and looking ahead to 2023. But first, let's have a look at the beers that I got. So one of the people we had on this year was from the Belgian Beer Company, and it was Sam, and she shared some wonderful beers with us. Now, if you remember the Christmas episode we did last year, I got my beer from them, and I've done it again this year. So the first one, do you remember her sharing this one with us, Gaz? Bush.
I do.
Yeah,
I do remember, yeah.
We asked what was the strongest beer they have, and it is this one. It's the Bush Noel, and it is 12%. I've had a little sip, and it is a very good one. And following that up with one of Gaz's favourite beers, the Christmas special of it, though, St. Barnabas Christmas Ale, 10%. And then finally, I thought I best go, if I'm having a third beer, best make it a light one. So I'm going with the Bon Secours, which is a Noel version, and it is just 9%.
Just the 9%.
What could possibly go wrong? So yes, let's have a listen then to some of our favourite clips. Before we do, Gaz, what's been your favourite episodes then that we've done this year?
I mean, there's a couple. The Sandbach Beer Emporium were pretty cool. The one that, or two that stood out for me was when we had Vic Ferrari. Vic Ferrari was just a top man, funny guy. I really sort of engaged with him in the stories, and we had him on. And for those of you that have listened to the episode and listened back, we had him on, and then we were gonna. We asked him to come on sort of after a slightly later date, and he went, "Oh well, I'm sort of free next week. Do you want me to sort of come on again?" And he's like, "Yeah, happy days." So Vic Ferrari was the highlight in terms of look. You know me. I love. Don't get me wrong. It's great when there's just those two. When Andy was with us, you know, it's great when the three of us sit and chat, and I love catching up with you guys. I think there's something to be said for when we have the guests on, and we try variety of guests. Don't get me, you know, I think the My Marvel bullshit, it was better than your chair bullshit episode was pretty cool.
Well,
and I'm sure that'll come up at some point.
Oh, my Marvel bullshit was better than your chair bullshit.
So that was when we guested on the designated quizzes, and
that was funny.
Mullered on Black Russians. that was a gem. That was a gem.
Yeah, that was a gem from what I remember.
That's it. Well, the first clip that I've got lined up for you now is involving our good friend Andy. Now, don't worry, Andy has not left the podcast. He's not been on it for a good long while, but there are plans for him to return. When, we don't know. We think it's going to be in 2023 at some point, but we don't know when. But yeah, he is. So the first clip I'm going to play is one of Andy, and it's actually an episode that you missed, yeah? So, and that's the other thing I'll say. So in terms of episodes missed, how many episodes do you think you missed this year?
I've probably missed a few more than Andy, I suspect, but no.
So you've missed 12 episodes this year, yeah? And Andy's missed 19. This is his 19th episode. So
okay.
It's been a challenge at times. So if you're wondering why we've got a little more guests on than we normally do, because we've had a lot of guests in 2022, and we'll probably get to a little bit later just how many guests that we have actually had. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenging year in many ways. And actually on, I think 3 or maybe 4 occasions, it's just been me and my old Billio when you guys have not been on at the same time. But anyway, here's a clip of Andy from when we had John Lickle on, the Geordie beer guy. Well, the beer I am drinking is one that got mentioned actually on the podcast last week when we had John on, the Geordie beer guy, and it is Siren's Breakfast Stout. However, this is the nitro version, so it's got nitrogen in the can. And I don't know if this is some kind of April Fool's Day prank, dude, because I'm not going to turn it upside down because I've opened it. But I don't know if you can see there on the label, it says this way up. So you turn the can upside down to open it. That's what it says. Looking at that, would you agree?
Well, it says pour hard, doesn't it? So
it does. I tell you what, it does pour hard as well, and it got all over the table, all over the laptop, all over my phone, all over the book. It's gone everywhere.
So it's supposed to go into a glass.
Oh, that would be a schoolboy. Yeah. No, bless him. There, he's got all sense of humor. We miss him, don't we? We miss having him on the podcast.
We do miss Andy on the podcast, and he brings his own unique style to the podcast. And look, as I said a minute ago, you know, it's great when we have guests on, but I do cherish, I do really enjoy, because obviously I don't see Andy in person that often, really, and you know, obviously I've got to know him through yourself, and as I say, we're not seeing him lots of times in person. It's great to catch up with him on the podcast, and it's something that I look forward to, you know, every week. So yeah, really looking forward to having him back. And if you listen to this back, you know, get yourself back on, dude. We miss you here. So looking forward to what we've got in 2023. And you know what? One thing we I'd love to do, we've said it before, an outside broadcast with Andy. Because obviously we've done a couple and it was just the two of us. So you know, to do an outside broadcast with Andy, that's definitely on our tip list for 2023.
It is. So you mentioned guests, dude. Do you know how many different guests we've had on in 2022?
Right. So are you talking about different individuals? So for example, would the Scottish Alchemist class as 2 or 3 or two? Yeah. Okay. Happy Hour 2, 3. Well, 3
because I think Caleb was on.
Yeah, Caleb. Yeah. So, okay. Go, blimey. I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
40. We had 40 different guests.
You know, I was gonna say between 25 and 30, but 40. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Possibly a bit more than I thought, maybe, but.
And not only that, we have already got 4 guests booked for next year in the early part. And I can tell you this, none of them have ever appeared on here before. So, you know, we've got some real interesting episodes, but we'll do that now. I'll tell you what we've got. So we've got a guy called Dave McGuinness on, and he's going to come on, and he's got a Facebook page it's called like The Busy Dad. So we're busy, we've got a lot on our plate, and he's going to come on and talk about some of the things that take some of that stress away. So he's got a really, really important message. Not only that, he's going to talk about his day job as well, which is saving people money on their energy bills. So I'll tell you what, that's one to look forward to in January, isn't it? When you've had the heating on over Christmas. The guy who made All Sages Gin, he's going to be coming on. We've got a fella called Cyril on who builds Lego on YouTube, so he's going to be on. And we love the paranormal, and we have another ghost hunter coming on. And speaking of ghost hunters coming on, we did 2 last year. We did one with Jason, and we did one with the lady from Florida. Do you remember that one? Who else guested on there? Well, it was my cousin Bo, and he scared the bejesus out of everybody with this story.
You know, for me, I didn't go into anything looking for anything. And when something happens to the point of like making you so scared that you really don't know what's going on, the first thing you try to do is try to figure out what happened. Right. Yeah. So, you know, quick story, the same girlfriend and I at the time went camping, and it was on a Monday and nobody was out there. Long story short, she saw something outside that evening that looked like she said it looked like somebody was peeking through the slats of the patio. Well, the problem was the patio was 12 feet high off the ground. So wow. There was nobody that could, I even showed her, I walked her outside and I was like, there's nobody, you know, whatever. So she laid down, but I got the feeling something bad was about to happen. I couldn't figure it out really, but I went and laid down. There was plenty of light in the room. You could see everything. and I heard a noise behind our head that sounded like scratching. And when she rolled over, her hands were tied together by the lamp cord. Yeah, I never, and I undid them real quick. I jumped off the bed. It was raining. I ended up throwing everything in my truck, driving out of there. We were about an hour and a half from home. And when I got to the house, I was trying to tie my hands together because I was convinced that she'd done it herself.
Do you remember that story? Yeah. Oh, Gaz
Yeah.
froze. Yeah, he froze there for a second. I was panicking. Yeah, and I was saying of all that, dude. I tell you what, I quite like doing episodes this way with clip shows. I can drink a hell of a lot more while we're doing this.
I was going to say, the way you're knocking them back, Dave, looking at you've got 3 beers at 9% or more. Whatever. You know what? I forgot. I feel really guilty now because actually, you know what? A highlight of 2022 was Bo.
Yeah, definitely for me.
And I really apologise, Bo, because it was something. I suppose in a way, it almost felt like you weren't really a guest. You were just like one of the TBR lads. It was like, so but Bo, I mean, obviously meeting Bo was great. He'd been on a podcast. I met him obviously at yours. Subsequently been on a couple of podcasts with us. So that was a massive highlight. And I think for me, and I've probably said it before a little bit on a podcast, I think seeing the interaction between you and Bo, obviously being family and not really knowing that you were family up until relatively recently, and all of the stories that he was able to talk to us about, and how you guys came to pop up and all that was cool. That was very, very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, it was the culmination of a roller coaster journey that had spanned 12 years. So obviously, we had the palaver that he was supposed to be coming over in the November of last year, 2021, and then lost his passport.
Lost his passport. He's convinced he got it. Was it lifted in the airport or whatever it was? And then yeah.
But he didn't. It got posted back to him. He had just misplaced it. So yeah, and then he ended up here in February. And yeah, that was an epic journey that sometimes now I still have to pinch myself and think, did that actually happen? And we have a clip later. I'll tip you off. We've got a little bit of a clip later of the episode that we recorded because that was unique. You know, we've recorded.
Was that the one we recorded at your house?
Yeah, we've recorded episodes with people from all around the globe, but never have we had someone travel all the way from Texas to come and sit in my kitchen and record an episode with 3 drunken idiots, which is what we were that night. And God bless him, he was the 4th. He ain't getting away without that one getting mentioned, dude. Because when you listen to this, I don't know if you've ever listened to that episode that much, but this is towards the end that I'll play it a little bit later, but gee whiz, we had all had a few beers. But that story you told that night, I think we were telling ghost stories that night, but I don't think many of us remember because we drank an awful lot of beer and whiskey. Yeah. But it is quite a spooky story, that one, isn't it? And you can tell in his voice, he wholeheartedly knows it was true. Yeah, he knows it was true.
100%. And that's and a lot of the time when people say stories and this, that you can tell whether they genuinely believe or they're just saying it. He absolutely 100% was in it. He was convinced it was that was he was sold 100%.
Absolutely. Now, before I play a clip from the next episode that I have, what I want to share with you guys is we're recording this. This is our Christmas episode. It's going to drop on audio around about the 20th of December. So it's going to be out there over the Christmas period for you to listen to at your leisure whenever you choose. I imagine you'll play it for Grandma around the Christmas table so that she can enjoy the festive fun.
Just after the King's speech, not the Queen's speech.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Won't be watching that one. But yeah, so we're recording this on the 30th of November, which just so happens to be the day that Spotify Unwrapped drops. So you got all your information about all the stuff that you've been listening to this year. Or if you're a podcaster, you get a little bit of facts about the podcast you dropped on Spotify. So I've got some details, dude. I'm going to read you some of our performances. And this is just purely Spotify, okay? Not all the multitude of other platforms. And guess what? Wherever you're listening to us, 5-star podcast, wherever we are rated, you can listen to us on Listen Notes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to Amazon Music, Pandora, 5 stars, wherever we've been rated. Thank you very much if you've taken the time to rate us. So this year, up until the episode that we did a couple of weeks ago now, we have released 32 minutes of podcast, which is 2 days worth of recordings so far in the year. And we're still not done because we recorded an hour after that. We're recording 2 hours tonight. We're recording 2 hours next week. We're doing an hour the week after that. So we're going to be tipping the scales there. Our top 3 episodes on Spotify were the one, actually not the one we played at the start, but the one before it. So episode 112, Well. What Do We Have Beer Then? That's our most popular episode where John Nickel guested on it.
Okay.
Our second most popular episode on Spotify this year was 122, The Railway Men with Mark Birtles.
Okay.
Followed by 124, That's the Spirit with Jason Griffiths. And the top 5, I'm whipping through these because the last 2 stats I really quite enjoy, and I think you're going to enjoy them too, Gaza. So the top 5 countries that listen to Spotify: UK, USA, Denmark, Norway, and Canada. Those are our top 5 countries. I know, I was quite surprised by that.
Wow.
But you might like to listen to this. So in terms of podcasts that, that have, obviously people follow us on Spotify, and we're in the top 30% globally of having followers on Spotify. Does that make you proud?
100%, dude.
Yeah. Well, this next one, dude.
There's loads of podcasts out there. There's loads of podcasters out there, and you read the stories, and lots of podcasts. Certain percentage of podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes, and they don't make it past 20 episodes and 50 episodes, and here we are on, God, 100 and God knows how many episodes it listened in God knows how many countries.
Yeah, 151 in 52 countries. So God bless you all.
Absolutely, amen to that. And it's humbling. Sorry, it's humbling to think that there are people in 50 plus countries, and it still blows my mind when Adam first told me the idea of the podcast and we need to do a podcast, and we're going to do it, and I was like, okay, give it a go. Not sure where it's going to go, and this and that, but we'll there's people in 50 plus countries like that download and listen to us, and I'll say 2 through 3, obviously with Andy, random guys talking random shit, and they just download and listen to us. Absolutely humbling, dude. Humbling.
And you know what else they do? They share it with their friends. They share our episode. We're in the top 10% of podcasts globally for getting their episodes shared with other listeners. That's phenomenal. Really? That's crazy. We love that. Woo! I love that. That's incredible. I can't thank you. If you've ever shared an episode of Tall Boy Radio with anyone, God bless you. Thank you very much. You don't know how much that means to me. When I read that, I came down at work today. I could have teared up. I tell you what, it made my absolute day, that did.
Podcast family, dude.
It is indeed. Speaking of podcast family, so Spotify, more famous for music. We had a couple of musicians on, didn't we? Double Denim. Do you remember them?
Oh, Double Denim. One of the only episodes where the guest actually speaks a lot more than I do.
I know. Tim Hodges, lead singer.
He can talk, that bloke.
He was funny though as well. Can I swear on this? Yeah, of course you can. Oh, fucking brilliant.
and it's weird because we've known Jopper for years, haven't we? And who'd have thunked it? He's like, oh, by the way, I'm a drummer, and his nickname was Cymbals, but that's a completely different reason.
Different reasons.
And if you listen to Jopper, I apologise. Yeah. But his nickname was Cymbals. He ends up being a bloody drummer in a band. It's just like, how does that work?
Good band as well. I've heard them play. They're brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant.
I mean, they headlined at the All Stage Music Festival. They've done a couple of the gigs sort of relatively locally and stuff. But decent, really decent.
And search them out as well, because actually, All Stage Music Festival with Tim singing on it. I've just done a cover of "Do They Know It's Christmas." Search it out. Have a listen. I haven't heard it yet because it's November. It's out in a few days. I don't doubt it's going to be brilliant. But here is a clip from the episode that they featured on, starting off with our good friend Jopper.
That wasn't the best gig, was it? I don't think it was the right audience.
No, it was all a bit. Yeah, I ended up doing I got paid to do some bingo as well.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
I made up all the numbers. So I was like,
I suppose it's quite.
yeah, I was like, so some of them was like legal in France 15. I did like a gypsy one, and someone like some Irish person had a go at me. What was tarmac in the floor 54, I think it was, something like that. And number eight. I think number eight. Oh, you might have children. Boris Johnson is number 8. Nice.
And this is the interesting thing. We know Jopper. I know Johnny Ayres. I know Bucky, the other guys in the band. I don't know the bassist, but the first time I was aware of Tim Hodges, and my brother had said, "You got Tim on. He's a bit of a character, isn't he?" I was like, "I don't know. I've not met him." Yeah, yeah, he is a character. There's no two ways about it, is there?
He was messaging me.
Sorry, that one popped on. I told you I'd make a mess of it at some point, didn't I? So yeah, that was a good episode, wasn't it?
I'd forgotten about that and the legal in France bit, because we're just listening back to that clip there, and I'd just taken a sip of my beer and nearly spit it out, because I think at the time we sort of laughed, and then we were sort of laughing again. But no, they were good guys, weren't they? And we know socially sort of 2 or 3 of the band, and they're obviously, they've gone on to have sort of decent gigs, and here's hoping that they go on to sort of bigger and better things in 2023. And I'm hoping that, they still come back to the All States Music Festival, they still headline it, and this, that, and the other, and hopefully they get the recognition they deserve, because they are, they're decent lads. They play good, decent music. So yeah,
they do. They play some very, very good music. They play it very, very well. So I'll tell you some other decent lads who've joined us. We've got some friends over the pond, and we've long been associated with these guys. So Tiddy and Shiner, Todd and Johnny, they're some of our favourite podcasters, aren't they?
I mean, Tiddy and Shiner, I think, potentially were maybe were they the first guest, or one of the first guests, maybe or I might be, maybe not the first guest, but certainly the people that I remember sort of talking to Ad, and those people effectively inspired him to do podcasts, and he listened to them, and he's like, I want to do podcasts, and we had them on, and it's funny because we spoke about, and I always remember we spoke about, was the Guinness World Records and stuff, and we had them on, and they, they sort of were laughing and joking, and they'd obviously had a little bit of a sort of private gag and stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. But I think subsequently, we realised, like, in a way, how much of an influence in a way that they should have been, and obviously, their 2023 is going to look massively different than their 2022, because they've got some real big news coming out, and obviously I'm not going to share what that is if they haven't already, but they've got some changes in 2023. So Tiddy Shiner, they're legends, aren't they? We get on those guys, and we'd love to have them on whenever they want to, basically. So
well, we've got this idea. Now, obviously, the one thing we know, obviously, Todd and Johnny had a podcast together. Tio on the TC, Todd Orndorff on the Toddcast, and Johnny Simon, obviously, as the sort of, I don't know, the fall guy, the guy who sort of backed him up and came out with some outlandish remarks. Now, he's not on there anymore. Tio does it by himself, doesn't he? God bless him, Todd. And I spoke to Todd recently, and our prayers are with you if you listen to this, Todd, because obviously we know, everything that your family's going through at the moment. We're just sending our love over the pond to you guys. And Johnny was there with him. Now, he stopped his podcast for a while, and in that time, obviously Tiddy and Shiner weren't recording, and they've formed the Holy Trinity, and they're going to be doing a podcast together called, I forget what it's called, like Unwoke and Unashamed or something like that. I think
Unashamed
it is.
And
and Unwoke, I think it is. That's the point. So yeah, that should be very, very interesting. So I tentatively put it out there on Twitter saying we'd like to do an episode. Tiddy, Shiner, Todd, Johnny, me, you, Andy. It would be chaos. It would be absolutely chaotic. But I'd love to do it.
Hey, let's do it, dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you say that they were our first guests, they weren't, but they were our first guests of 2021. And actually, there were some of our very earliest guests of 2022 as well. So this is a clip I'm going to play now of the episode that they joined us on. And it's actually not only did you miss it, this is the first episode I ever had to do on my old Billio since I did it as Beans Does Stuff. So this is Tiddy and Shiner sharing a very funny story about our good friend Johnny Simo.
The day he was messaging me videos when he found that cat in the road and he thought it was dead, and he's texting me and he's like, this and that. He's like, hold on, and then he tells me that no, we were sending videos. He's on the way to work and he's like, hold on, and he said, there's a dead cat in the road, I'm gonna move it. Then he comes back on the video and he's moaning and groaning in agony. And he's going, oh, that son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. Oh my God. Oh, that's he jumped up, and he's telling me the story about this cat just coming alive and just jacking him up. And so then I'm like, oh my God. And it's got like a whole Blair Witch feeling to it when you watch it. And then the next video is him at work, and he's pulled his jeans down, and his leg is just scratched and all inflamed, and it's swelling everywhere. And he's talking about this cat. When the day progresses, the town is on the lookout for this cat because it's just running around town, fucking people up. And so, and I'm getting videos updating me all along the way. And then finally, somehow they corner it in this like maintenance shed at this apartment building. and firefighters go in, and I guess it chases firefighters out because this thing's just like a rabid cat, literally, because Johnny had to go get rabies shots. Oh yeah. And they finally, I can't remember. He just reminded me of this not too long ago, but like they end up killing the cat, and then they're taking it for testing, and like the animal control officer has Johnny identify the cat by a picture of its head. It's something crazy like that. I'm not sure if that's the exact detail on the end, but it was the funniest set of videos. And that's how I kind of introduced Tiddy to Simo. I showed him these videos, and he's like, this guy is the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life.
I have never laughed harder in my life.
And just in case you're wondering, yes, Shiner was very high when we were recording that.
But they're good guys, aren't they?
Oh, top guys. I love that's one of my favourite stories about Johnny Simo as well, other than, obviously, and their favourite story, interesting enough, about Johnny Simo was the first time that they appeared on our podcast, and he shared that picture of himself with the hot pocket over his groin. I forgot that we do a video version.
I was literally just thinking when that was playing, I'm thinking hot pockets, and brilliant.
Absolutely legendary. Yeah, hilarious. We love Johnny Simo because
we need to tag him in and go, dude, you need to listen back to this episode because like the hot pockets get the mention again.
Exactly. Oh, don't worry, we might just have a little clip later as well from Johnny Simo himself. Don't you? We couldn't leave him out, could he? It's Christmas. We've got to treat our listeners, haven't we? So yeah, so Tiddy and Shine, like I said, that is genuinely what inspired me to do the podcast in the very first place. So I'd found out my family had origins in Oklahoma. Now, anybody who's in the UK knows a little bit about different states. One of the states that's not hugely, I don't think anyway, other than obviously the Trail of Tears, there's not a lot of information out there about it. Is Oklahoma, so I didn't know too much about it. So I wanted to listen to a podcast so I could learn something about Oklahoma. And I was flicking through. I'd literally just searched Oklahoma on Spotify. And the one that caught my eye was the Tiddy and Shiner show because my daughter's nickname is Tiddy. That's what I've always called her. So I listened to them. I started listening. I shared how much I was enjoying it. And bless them, they started reading out my tweets on the show. I got in contact. And we've been friends ever since. I speak to Shiner on a very, very regular basis. Tiddy's a little bit harder to get hold of, God bless him. But when he does, he's funny as hell. So yeah, absolutely love those guys. And and that's the true story of how we got into the old sort of podcasting. And then obviously 19 episodes in, I had you guys guest on one episode, and the rest is history because I enjoyed that so much more than doing it by myself.
Yeah, and I remember, you saying, you've heard these guys and you want to do a podcast, and and would have come on, and it's like, oh, I've not committed time, and looking back now, it's like, why would I not commit time? I freaking love it, you know what I mean? So
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, dude, it's like, I can't say how much I enjoy the podcast, and I enjoy talking with you guys and stuff, but and you sort of, when you said, well, what are we going to do? And well, I've done Beanstalk stuff, and we're going to talk about this, and we could do that, but I'm thinking about morphing into something else. And we've had so many different sort of incarnations and stuff. So, but yeah, going back to the roots of the podcast, and it was. I'm so glad that you asked me to come on, and it was, look where we are now. We're in 52 countries.
Yeah, 52 countries, and who knows who knows who'll be number 53.
Well, who knows who'll be number 53? And I'd love to say that we can get to number 53 before 2023, but we'll wait and see. We've got like a week from when this goes out or whatever it is, so fingers crossed. But yeah, honestly, like, I can't tell how much I enjoy it.
Indeed, and I tell you what, I chat daily. I do chat daily. One thing I will tell you, I've opened my second beer now, and this is one of Gaz's favorite beers, the St. Barnabas. Dude, you need to pick this up. I tell you what, it is dark as Andy's heart.
So is the glass again? It's St. Bernardus. Is it? Which one is it?
So this is the Christmas one. So this is the Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So it's called St. Bernardus Christmas Ale. So that's all it says about it. I don't know what style of ale it is, but it's certainly a dark one. So I don't know if it's a Dunkel or something like that, but it's 10%, so it's imperial strength.
You see, they're what you call their standard. So the St. Bernardus that you can see, in normal, and it's weird because I was going to talk about an episode that I don't know whether or not we've got any features, but it was Sam from the. Not Sandbach Beer Emporium, the
Belgian Beer Emporium.
Belgian Beer Company. And I play Super League darts, and there's a guy, he's a landlord at the Congress Inn, and been there for the last couple of years, and don't listen to him, but that's where I nicked the St. Bernardus last time. hope you're not listening. And I remember going back this year, and he said, if you can get me these beers, he gave me a list. He said, if you can get me them, I'll let you have this glass. I feel like saying, well, I nicked one last year, so anyway. But but thanks anyway. And I because I was chatting to him, and I sort of said, I know a couple of people that import Belgian beers and this and the other. He went, I'm after this, I'm after this, I'm after this. I was like, okay, well, leave it with me. So I got in touch with Sam and emailed Sam and said, look, I'm not sure whether you sell to trade or not. And she went, yes, we do. I was like, okay, well, can I put you in touch with? And she sort of said, yeah, leave it with me. I'm yet to go and revisit the Congress Inn, so we'll wait and see. And I actually haven't spoken to Sam. I'm not going to turn around and go, oh, by the way, did you? But and it was weird because it just shows in a way the power of a podcast and networking. And I've spoken to somebody, and via our podcast, I'm able to put him in touch with potentially somebody that could help him in terms of his business, and it's just weird the way it works, isn't it?
It's incredible.
And so we had Sam. I think a couple of the episodes that we had from the Sandbach Beer. So Della came on, and Della she's been on.
She's hilarious.
Twice, 2-3 times, twice maybe.
She's been on twice and Liv's been on once.
And Della is just a hoot sort of thing.
We'll get that back in 2023. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And so she's a hoot, an absolute hoot. And so that was a favourite. She's been a great guest. Look, she drinks beer. She knows a beer. She ordered beer. I'm sold. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and she is, and I'll be honest with you, like I know her from just going in there to buy beer from the Beer Emporium, and I tell you what, it's a great place. They have a fantastic range of beer. So Liam's fantastic as well. And like I say, 6'6", he's taller than me and Andy. We're a piddling 6'5". He is, yeah, it's the tallest guy we've ever had. I love that. And yeah, and then there's another guy in there called Patrick as well. He's brilliant as well. So I went in there to pick up some beers for the episode when we had just Ella on. Yeah, and he recommended some absolutely fantastic Imperial Stouts. So, yeah, we've had some fantastic beers on this episode of Tallboy Radio. And I'm drinking beers 192, 193, and 194 tonight. Yes, it could go the way of Drunken Ramblings Part 3, where we had Bo over here. Now, the idea was not actually to call that. It was supposed to be called a Texan Cowboys European Vacation, a play on words from National Lampoons. We actually did a later episode and called it that because we still had that idea to use, but we had to call this Drunken Ramblings Part 3, and I think the reasons are just about to become very, very clear.
The guy invented the seatbelt. The guy who invented the 3-point seatbelt worked for Volvo? Yeah. And he invented it, and he recognized this is going to save lives.
Yeah.
And rather than making any money off this, I'm just not going to make any money. I'm not going to patent it. So everybody can use it for free, and it's going to save lives rather than me getting rich off of it. Because if I make money off of it, then people aren't going to use it.
That's a unique.
Yeah,
that's altruistic. Human race as opposed to that's. I don't know. I could do that.
That's a lot.
I don't know. I could do that.
The guy who invented the umbrella that goes in a margarita hasn't worked since.
Ladies and gents.
Yeah, that's somebody had the right idea. Is that true? Is that true? Yeah.
I have no idea. When you went,
had you forgotten how mullered we were?
It's so bad.
It's shocking. It's shocking. I cannot believe how mullered we were. We were utterly leathered. Like that night. Like, and the thing is, Andy seemed the most sober out of a lot of us. And like he came down, he sat. We all went and we sat in my lounge afterwards because Bo's wife Chris was over here, and Andy's.
Did we order Pete? Did we have Pete? Did we order
food?
Maybe. Did we?
Dude, I think we may have eaten some pizza. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But
I'm trying to end up staying over.
Then your daughter came over as well.
Yeah, I think Amy came over. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were leathered, and Andy just seemed quiet and all. Then Bo says he came outside.
Wasn't.
No, he was not. He both says he's giving me a hug. I was like, fuck off. No way. No. Then we got a text off Amy. Like they had to pull over in a car park on the way home, and he had thrown his guts. It's like, what? Seriously? He seems sober as a judge. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't remember the last time I threw up through beer sort of thing. But yeah, you see, whenever we've been out with Andy, and I've said this before on the podcast, he always seems sober.
Yeah, he does.
Always seems sober. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not that I'm a huge drinker, and back in the day I could hold my own and drink and stuff, but not necessarily now. But I'm thinking, okay, I've got a bit of beer, and you can drink more than I can now. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty drunk now, and Ad's drunk. I'm pretty drunk, Ad's drunk. Or should I say I'm a lot drunk and Ad's drunk. And he's really, really sober. Like, what's all this about? And all of a sudden you hear these stories about, well, he went home and he ended up falling over. And I'm like, I've never seen that. I'd love to see that.
You don't.
I've never seen it.
He gets to bed and that's it. He's gone. I think we shared a story when he was in Belgium and he redecorated his bathroom. I was out with him that day and I went to bed and I was mullered. We were drinking super strong beer. It was our first day in Brussels and we hit it hard. You know what I mean? We thought, yeah, let's destroy it.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to go. I'd love to go.
Well, we need to do
it. Some beer, proper beer.
And I remember getting in bed and saying to Kim, oh man, I feel terrible. And I can't believe how sober Andy is. Next morning, I wake up, because it's Belgian beer, it's great quality. I'm sober as a judge, hang on a hangover. I'm ready to hit it again. And Andy's puked up everywhere in his bloody bathroom.
I've never seen that.
No. Gee whiz, yeah. And then the next night we were absolutely mullered again, and then again and again. It was a great holiday. That was absolutely great. We need to do, the three of us, at some point, That's a bucket list. That's my bucket list. We record a podcast there.
We need to do a road trip. We need to do some sort of European road trip, and the three of us need to go for a long weekend, and we do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it may be, and
get Bo over for it as well.
Oh,
can you imagine?
God, can you imagine? That's stuff for dreams. That's like, oh my days! Can you imagine that?
If you're listening to this, Bo, let's make that happen. That's a plan.
I'm
probably going to text you after this is done drunkenly. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's actually genuinely make that happen.
That has to happen. That has to happen. Can you imagine the carnage that we'd have over there? Oh my God!
Oh, it'd be lethal. Yeah, it would be absolutely lethal. Those beers out there, gee whiz, there are some strong ones. There's some super strong beers, and
I wouldn't last.
Oh, I probably shouldn't share the story, but we were in the Delirium Cafe, and I was mullered, and me and Andy were eating cheese out of an old Thai lady's mouth. While Kim and Amy were just sat there absolutely disgusted by our behaviour. While her daughter was taking pictures of us doing it. Like Kim was like the next day, do you remember eating cheese out of that woman's mouth? Yeah, I do. I wish I didn't, but I do.
I just pleaded. Pleaded ignorance. I go, no.
Oh,
no.
Horrific.
Oh, dude, that has to happen.
Yeah. What, eating cheese out of an old lady's mouth?
No, the road trip with with Andy. That's what needs to happen.
He's going to curse me for sharing that story on it. Right. So Johnny Simo. When we had Todd and Johnny on, so the whole plan. I'm going to call you out on this one a little bit here, dude, because the whole plan was we cook some Reload rub on food. We sit there and we try it for the first time on Tallboy Radio, where I even filmed it in my own kitchen. But you'd eaten first, dude.
I did. I ate first.
Dear, oh dear. I'll tell you, Todd was unimpressed because we sat there and we made him wait. He didn't realise we were.
Todd was starving. I remember Todd saying, he said, "Oh my God, I haven't eaten." The thing is, I can't remember what time. Let's say we I don't know what time we recorded. Like
it was late. Whenever we've done it with those guys,
10 o'clock or something or whatever it was. And I'm thinking like we ate like 3 or 4 hours ago, whatever it was, because obviously like wife and kids and this and the other. So like we ate and I tried it and it was lovely and I spoke about it, but then I got I got a little bit of shit for eating it before everybody else, basically.
Rightly so. But there was one standout moment from that podcast. I'll play it here, dude, and then we'll talk about it after because it was. God, I still laugh when I hear this now.
So, guys, do you remember a guy called Brian Harvey from E17? He did that himself.
I know where you're going with this.
But it wasn't a golf cart. He did it in his own car. He was driving his own car and fell out and ran himself over. I don't even know how that happens.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure exactly how that story happens. But yeah, actually, not a golf cart, a genuine car, and he's fallen out and run himself. You haven't done that, Johnny, no.
I did not run myself over, but yes, I did fall out of a vehicle 55 miles an hour while I was driving. Yes. And have the scars to prove it.
Who were you running from?
No one.
Quick, it's a fence, quick.
Dude, I was going around a right-hand turn, and I set my arm down on my armrest to set myself up in the seat. And when I did, the door flew open. Out the door I went, dude. 55 miles an hour. Yeah. Yeah,
I assume somebody else was was somebody else in the car then, or not? Or no?
No, I was by myself, luckily, because when I fell out, of course, I had a death grip on the steering wheel. So when I fell, I jerked the steering wheel to the right. I was driving a Dodge Ram Charger. It clipped a cedar tree, and the guy had a Chevrolet. And a Ford truck parked side by side in his driveway. I T-boned the Chevrolet and shoved it into the Ford. Totaled all 3 vehicles in one shot: a Dodge, a Chevy, and a Ford.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That is the American dream.
I was, I tell you what, I was tore up. Like I said, I got the scars to prove that one.
You got to love that story. You got to love Johnny Simo, haven't you? He is a living legend.
Dude, I've forgotten about that. And it's just I've got a death grip on.
It's just the way he says it. Like it could happen to anyone. No, it couldn't. Bless him, but yeah. You just
I've
you get him
forgotten
on.
about that.
You get him on, and he sits there telling stories, and then he comes out with an absolute gem, like it's just an everyday occurrence.
But he was recanting that story, and you could hear in the background, and you got Todd like literally just like crying, like laughing in the background, and he's just like, dude, seriously?
Genius. I think Todd never heard that story before. He'd never heard that story.
No.
Those guys are great friends. So much goes on in Johnny Samo's life that didn't make the cut when they were talking.
Brilliant. And as I say, you know, the guests we have on, we've had a couple of not so great guests, but the majority of people we've had on are proper decent and add to our podcast, and you know, and those guys they fall in that bracket. They're very, very, very entertaining.
Oh yeah, we've only touched on a few because there's a few guys we've not even mentioned, like Ryan and Brad of Pub Time. You know, Mike and Tabby and Caleb. You know, those guys. They've been legends. Remember Mega Man? Mega Man was our first guest of the year. Wow.
He was the guy from was it Florida he was from? Was it?
No. He was from Long Beach, California.
Oh no, he was.
This is a guy. The week before he was on our podcast, they released an article about him in a local magazine, and he was the number 2 podcaster in the LA area. He gave up his time for us. Top guy. Still hear from him every now and then. And this is the wonderful thing, like Gaz says. When you do a podcast, it's a family, and you build connections. So I still hear from Mega Man on a regular basis. I still hear from all the guys that we've ever had on, even your mate Anon, who's from Pittsburgh. He still drops me a message every now and then and asks me how I'm doing, tells me how much he loves like England, despite the fact he thought we were originally from Canada. Yeah, legend, absolute legend. Yeah, so I still and the good news is he's doing well. He's doing well. He's guested on a few podcasts after ours as well. So he really thanks us for getting on, because he reached out to us. He was a guy. Yeah, he's a guy who reached out to us and said, "Can I come on your podcast and tell my life stories?" Like, yes, you can. We'd love to hear it.
And it's great when people reach out to us, because you know we've gone and not chased people for our podcast, but you know we've invited people. But when people then ask us, you know, that's nice, and it makes you feel humble and proud and all of that sort of stuff. But I was going to say, one of my highlights of 2022 was happened relatively recently, and it's when we guested upon a different podcast. Now I'm a massive geek and I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and I you know where I'm going with this, because
I know,
you know, and it is weird because we recorded it on a Saturday night, and I wouldn't normally give up my Saturday night for a lot of things, but I sort of said we're gonna guess, and obviously we were on Happy Hour, and I proper loved that episode. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed. Like, was it a couple of weeks ago now? Whatever it was, 3-4 weeks ago. So when this is released, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah. And obviously social media wise, you know, Mike, Tabby and stuff, you know, it's been great to have you on and this, that and the other. And I had such a good time recording that, and I'm a bit of a geek. And we made this new phrase, and it was, are you a good or a neat, which is obviously a cross between, you know. So yeah, it was decent.
You make up phrases like that. You make up phrases like that. You're both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And was I a nerd? Was I a geek? No, I'm probably both. And you know, and I just love the whole vibe with that. And it was a great episode. And so, in terms of us guesting upon other people's podcasts, that was probably the highlight of 2022.
Yeah, I think so. And it came out of the blue because it got mentioned when we had Mike guesting on an episode of ours. So we did an episode with a guy talking about Lego, and again, that was a unique experience because I messaged him about getting him on what to talk about it. And at first he was like, yeah, then he got very cagey. He wanted to know what questions you're going to ask him. You know, why? And it's like, you know, I didn't get it. I was like, look, dude, have a listen to any of our episodes. We are not confrontarian or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're a friendly podcast. We're here. We want to bro. I'm 49 years old. I love pissing around with Lego. And it turned out he had a famous dad, and he had a very bad experience with a journalist who had turned up to talk about Lego at his house, and then asked him about his dad, who happened to be Marky Smith from The Fall, absolutely legendary Manchester band. And and I was like, dude, I promise you, I had no idea. And he's like, oh, that's cool. If you want to talk about my dad, by the way, that's fine. It's like, yes, we can, because I'm a big fan. So we talked a bit about that. But yeah, Mike guested on that episode. The guy bust out all of his Lord of the Rings stuff, and it turned out that Mike was planning to do this Lord of the Rings. Bear in mind, I think we recorded that way back in June, and he invited us.
Ages ago, yeah.
And interestingly enough, that invite originally was just for yourself. And it was only myself and Andy only got invited on when we guested on the 40-hour episode that they did as a world record, and you were away for it, and you couldn't join us.
I was. To be fair, I was gutted. And I know that they spent loads of time prepping it, and they got loads of guests on. And I know you were, what were Tour Radio were down for an hour and ended up doing, was it 3 or something, or just 3 or whatever it was?
I did 3 hours, and God bless Andy, he was out at the time, and he got back and did 2 hours on that. Yeah, bless him.
Yeah, so fair play to you. And I can't remember where we were. It must have been away, family-wise, whatever. And I was genuinely gutted and missing it. And I remember you saying, they're going to do like Lord of the Rings episode. Are you up for it? It's like, 100% amen for that sort of thing. And we recorded that probably, as I say, probably by the time this goes out, about a month ago, maybe something like that. So, I love that. And there's been various retweets and social media stuff going on. So yeah, one of my favourite times that we've guested upon other people's podcasts.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like say Gaz says, because we're recording this way in advance, so although it will have been a few weeks ago, in terms of us right now, it dropped yesterday, and I listened to it on my drive into work.
It's last week. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got a little bit to listen to on my drive in tomorrow. But I have to say, I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you, Mike and Tabby, for having us on. And Caleb, of course. Let's not forget Caleb. So yeah. So like Gaz says, we've been great. We've invited people on. We've invited loads of people on next year, like I shared with you earlier. But every now and then, someone reaches out to us and said, can I come on your podcast and talk? One of those people who reached out to us was a gentleman by the name of Vic Ferrari, who I should say we have an episode planned with. Next year, he's going to be interviewing us and asking us about England and our Britishness, because he loves English comedy. But, dude, how much fun was Vic Ferrari to have on the podcast?
That guy was... Like, my daughter listens to our podcast quite a lot, and she's one of our followers and listens and watches on YouTube and stuff. And she commented on both of those episodes. Said, I haven't heard you guys laugh as much on a podcast as you did for those 2 episodes. And it's so engaging, funny, relevant, all of those things. And I can't wait. I can't wait till we get into the new year. I can't wait for him to come back on. And I know he does. He does lots of podcasts and stuff.
5 a week on average.
Yeah, promotes his books and stories and this and the other. But I can't thank him enough for coming on to our podcast. Such a nice guy, such a genuine guy. Very, very, very funny stories. If you get a chance, go and buy his books, because his books are hilarious. Highlight. I mean, 2022 has been a decent year for us, but arguably one of the best guests we've had.
Yes, and what I'm going to share now, I'm going to share a story, and I apologise in advance. Actually, no, I don't apologise in advance. It's actually a fairly lengthy story, it's like many of us are. It's not my favourite story. It might not be Gaz's favourite story, but I'll tell you whose favourite story is. It's Vic's favourite story, so it seemed like the best story to share for you guys now.
NYPD Law and Disorder is loaded with funny things that went wrong in my NYPD career. So in the opening chapter, there's it's called Embarrassing Moments. And like I say, every author likes to portray themselves as how smart they are, and they always save the day in the nick of time. They got the witty comeback. I got a story in there. Me and my partner driving around the Bronx. We spot these 3 guys in the back seat of a gypsy cab. A gypsy cab is usually just a 4-door car with bogus plates on it, and some clown goes around picking up fares. It's the Bronx. And We pull over this gypsy cab. There's 4 guys in the back seat. There's 3 guys in the back seat with 4 kilos of coke. So I lock these guys up. I go into the precinct, and it's like I won the Stanley Cup. I'm walking around with the kilos. Everybody's congratulating me, high-fiving me. You're going to narcotics. The drugs go down to the lab. The bad guys go down to Manhattan, Bronx Central booking. I got to go down to court that night to speak with a district attorney. So across the street from the Bronx District Attorney's office is this newly opened food court. So I go in there. I order some Italian food. I'm in my uniform. I'm like reflecting. My chest is all puffed out. This is great. And all of a sudden, I got to take a dump like nobody's seen. Oh, shit. And I don't want to use the bathroom across the street in the courthouse because it's a fucking dungeon and there's never toilet paper in there. So I said, oh, wow, the food court, brand new bathroom. It's probably going to be like a cathedral in there, right? I go in. Thing is antiseptically clean. It's like no one's taking a dump in here, right? I'm like, great. I go into the stall. I take off my gun belt. I hang it on the hook, right? I drop my pants. I sit on the bowl. I'm getting ready for liftoff. And I hear the front door kick into the bathroom, and I hear like 3-4 teenagers come rushing in. So I'm like, shit. They're hitting the hand dryers. They're hitting the sinks. They're making all sorts of noise in there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a cop, but I got my pants down and my knees taking a dump. I'm quite vulnerable, right? So all of a sudden, it's quiet. Gets eerily quiet. I'm like, did they notice a pair of legs under here? Did they leave? I'm like, I better finish up and get the fuck out of here, right? Just as I'm finishing up, right, something tells me to look up. One of the teenagers went into the next stall, got on top of the toilet. He's looking over at me now. I look up. He's staring right at me, and he's hanging over the stall wall, and he's trying to grab my gun belt. I said,
wow.
Oh. So I jump up with my left hand, and I try to pull my pants up. With my right hand, I grab him around the neck, and I pull him. But when I pulled him, I pull him closer to my gun belt, and this little motherfucker grabs my gun belt. So I'm like, shit. With my left hand now, I let go of my pants, and it's a hockey fight because I got him around the neck, and I'm just punching him. Let go of the gun belt, let go of the gun belt. While this is going on, his friends run into the next stall, and they grab his legs. So now it's fucking tug of war with this kid in my gun belt. Finally, he lets go, and the gun belt hits the floor. So I let go of him, and he goes flying over the wall, and it bends. You know, like those partitions, they ain't worth a shit. They're aluminum, so the fucking thing bends, right? I grab my gun belt, I pull up my pants, I snap it on, I go running out into the food court, and they're gone. And in the book, I say to myself, what was I supposed to do at this point? Get on my radio and call the fucking police? I would have been the laughing stock of the Bronx had I done that. It's like sometimes you just got to eat shit and let it go. And I kept that story to myself for 30-something years until I wrote NYPD Law and Disorder.
He was a top guy. And I cannot tell you how much fun we had having him on the podcast. So just out of interest, guys, what was your favourite Vic Ferrari story?
Oh, dude, the nuns. Well, no, to be fair, there were two. So the nuns that he ended up pulling over, obviously, if you listen to the podcast, he was in auto crime for years, and there was a story about the two nuns he pulled over. The other one was when he was asked to basically form this lineup of dude, and he went into the local piss house basically, you know, and he's like, well, yeah, you'll do, you look about right, you'll do, and they got these guys into this lineup, and if you listen to the story, basically these guys that they got in ended up beating up the guy that was the criminal, and he said he actually let him go diving into the lineup and pull these people apart and stuff. So those two were, you know, those two are funny. I mean, obviously he spoke a lot about, was it the guy ended up at the bottom of the stairs with had the blue mouth and ended up with the paint down the mouth. See, all thought, you know, and you just think, you know, thank God we didn't knock on that door, sort of thing, you know, because the story he tells is like, if they'd have knocked on that door, that's a whole world of trouble, sort of thing. So yeah, you know, it's just, I think pulling over the nuns and the car crime with the nuns was funny. And and then I think the lineup story was brilliant.
My two favourite stories. You've named one there. That lineup story is absolutely hilarious. I can tell you now, it's never going to be as funny as the way he tells it. So go
No.
back and listen to those episodes if you haven't already. It's just the way he tells it, like when they're starting to get a bit sort of frisky, he's like, "Calm down, boys." And it's the way he says it, it's in that New York accent. And if you don't know he's from New York, it's really, really clear when he uses the word coffee. You know what I mean? It's super clear. And the other one I enjoyed, he was the guy who was off on sick and he got discovered in the bar, the loudmouth. Oh my God! Like it's just the when he gets to the end of that story, the denouement of that story is beautiful. I loved it. It's so much fun having him on. And when he, so basically, we said, look, we'd love to get you back on. We'd love to get you back on. We had so much fun recording. He's like, yeah, definitely. Then about 2-3 days later, I got a message from him. It's like, dude, we need to do another episode with you guys before Christmas. This is him. To us, it's like, yeah, we do. So literally, we have no guest book for Tuesday. Do you want to jump on? He's like, yeah, I'm free Tuesday. We'll do it. It's like,
yeah.
I messaged you. It's like, dude, he sent a message from Vic Ferrara and he wants to do it. Amazing. And then getting towards the end of the episode, I want to come back on next year and I want to speak to you guys. I want to
interview you guys because I love the British culture. I love their sense of humor. And he spoke about on the couple of episodes that we did. He spoke about Monty Python. He spoke about, was it John Cleese and Fawlty Towers? I think he mentioned in there and stuff. So obviously he loves, old school British humour sort of thing. So I can't wait till he sort of comes on and interviews us. I've got no idea what he's going to ask us, no idea what he's going to say, and it might be one of those, oh my God, we're set up for failure. But you know what? I can't wait to have him back on.
No, that's it. It's sometimes it's nice to do an episode you just can't prepare for, isn't it? So we're getting very much towards the hour. There is one clip that if I didn't play this clip, this would not be complete. And guys, this is no, it's not you drunk doing anything daft. This is somebody else. This is an episode.
Oh, okay.
This is an episode, dude. You were even on.
Oh, okay.
So we did an episode with the designated quizzes, and this happened just as we started. And I tell you what, we started the year very early on. So unfortunately, Jason couldn't join us. So we had to scramble, sort something out. So Tabby, God bless her, from Happy Hour, darted home from work and stepped into the breach at the very, very last minute. And we had our very own You've Been Framed moment. I would tell you to go back and watch it on video. But here's the audio clip for it now. And we loved it. Lisa, do you want to say hello?
Hello. And I have my Jason.
You okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't clue out there, basically, as we introduced the episode, Lisa's chair gave way. And the funny thing is, it actually happened a second time. She was setting back up just as we were about to go again for the second take. Happened the exact same thing happened again. We weren't recording, unfortunately. But yeah, that was an absolute jam. Gee whiz. I was, as you can tell in my voice, I was worried about it because she didn't pop back up. Yeah, she didn't pop back up. Like, no, that's me. I'm bang on. I'm going to show everybody I'm okay. It's like, oh, she stayed down. I hope she don't cry. This is going to go past me. But bless her, she has been such a good sport about that. She's let us share that out. We actually sent it off to You've Been Framed. They didn't use it, unfortunately, but she was okay with that. We said, look, if you make any money off it, you can have, we'll share it with you. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, that was an absolute gem. So that's it. That's been 2022 for us. We've told you a little bit about what we can look forward to in 2023. You enjoyed it, guys?
Oh, I loved it. I love when we do episodes where we sort of reminisce and we talk about what we've done, and it's great. It's great when we do it live and we record it the first time. But when we do a review, and we do almost like a reverse Room 101 type thing, and we look at all the things we've done and we look at all the good things, it makes you realise, you know what? We're doing all right. You know what I mean, as a podcast, and I don't know, we're doing all right. We've got decent followers. We'd love more. Don't get me wrong, everybody would, but there aren't many podcasts that can turn around and say, they're listened to in 52 countries, and I enjoy it. And I think if we were only listened to in two countries. I still enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy what we do. I enjoy meeting the people that we meet, chatting to people that we chat. And the podcast family is a massive, big family, and it's great to know that there are other people out there trying to do the same things that we do. And I look forward to what 2023 has to offer. Love to do a couple of outside broadcasts again. And we said years ago, because of COVID and this, that, and the other, we couldn't do the things we wanted to do, and that's bang gone now, and that's in the past. So, looking forward to next year. Looking forward to what we can do. Looking forward to the guests we're going to have on. Looking forward to the episodes that we're going to guest on for various other people. So yeah, keep a close eye on TBR, because 2023 is going to be a big year.
It is. And on top of that, we're going to be launching a secret project that Gaz and I have been working on over the last couple of weeks. Can't say too much about it now. Website's going to be out there very, very soon. Haven't had a chance to work on that, but it's there. We own the username. We've got it all set up on social media. It's going to be launching very, very soon. What time we're going to get the podcast out there next year, I don't know. Well, all I can tell you is I've got an interview with the media on Friday to talk about it. So that should be a very, very interesting prospect. So we'll leave you with that little teaser. We'll wish you a Merry Christmas, and we'll share all our love with you, because you've shared it with us over the last 12 months, and we totally appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much it touches us when we see how many people listen to us and you share it. And the fact, just to get the Spotify figures today, I tell you what, to be the top 10% of shared episodes on Spotify globally, not just in the UK, but globally, that is absolutely mind-blowing. We absolutely love it, and we thank each and every one of you. Go on, guys, tell them how much you love them.
I love the podcast. I love the podcast family. I love the media aspect, where you've got your Follow Friday and you've got all your different groups that share each other and retweet each other and follow each other and all of that. And we wouldn't be as successful as we are if it wasn't for those people. And I'd like to think that a small part of what we do is we then will retweet various other podcasts. They maybe wouldn't be quite successful if we didn't do what we did. And it's all that big family. And I can't wait for 2023. It's going to be an amazing year. We've got so many exciting things lined up. And we've touched on a couple of things, and we've held a couple of things back. We don't want to share too much. We want to tease. So we've got plenty planned for 2023. And if you worried that TBR is going to fade away, absolutely not. We're going to smash 2023, and we're going to move on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely, we are. And what I will say is, we've had fun this episode. And yeah, the last episode, we got a bit questionable at points. But next episode, we're going to come back. We're going to start off with something very, very serious. There's three of us going to record that episode. It's something that's very dear to us. It's very dear to us locally, but we want to put it out there internationally, because it's something that we need an answer to this question. And this is probably the most serious episode of Tallboy Radio that we've ever recorded. But for now, I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas, but I'm going to let Gaz sign off this episode with his Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. And you know what? If you're listening out there, thank you for all of your listens in 2022. Look forward to all of your listens in 2023. And just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Ollie's. So if you want to get over to Ollie's, and for all of your pretzels, nuts, and if you are listening, and if you're only in the UK, if you use the promo code Tallboy Radio, all caps, you can get a fantastic discount on all of your purchases. So head yourself over to Ollie's and look forward to what we've got in store for 2023.